back with more Angel. This is episode 21 of season 4, the penultimate episode of the season, so I think things are going to get a bit crazy, well, crazier. And yeah, I'm very excited to see what's going to be happening next. Angel is in a weird dimension, realm, place full of the horrible spidery crab demon things, so yeah. But we do know that he could potentially find out Jasmine's name, and that could hold some sort of power over her. That could be maybe key to stopping her. So I imagine we'll get some answers about that, maybe even find out what the name is. Got to be something crazy like Brenda or Wendy. So yeah, we'll see where that leads, but that's interesting. And everyone else is kind of fighting off Connor and the Goons, which would be a cool band name. But yeah, I imagine. I mean, I'd be very surprised if they don't get out of that one. But who knows? This season, we can say many things about season 4. Certainly surprising, for better or worse. It's been surprising. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, things with Jasmine are certainly escalating. So I guess we just need to find out what on earth is going to be thrown at us next. So let's get into the next one. This is very cinematic. What is this? Guess I'm not a fan of balls.
All your talk about saving the world. Well, now somebody's gone and done it. Made everything right. And good.
Even if that were true, it's only LA. Let's calm the hell down.
Bring them to me.
Why?
Has it become necessary to explain my wishes to you?
No.
Just then be a sweet boy and bring them intact.
You're probably going to regret that, Gina, let's be honest. It's good that he's questioning her actions, though.
Your devotion and sacrifice have made a difference.
Hopelessly devoted to you.
Join the other. I only wish it was within my power to take you back.
Nobody asked.
It was a trial run. An early experiment to work out the bugs, so to speak. I won't make that mistake again.
It was supposed to break the spell, show you what she really looks like.
I know what she looks like. She's beautiful.
Gentlemen.
Well, so he sees her like that, but he's still fine with it.
Save us the euphemisms. You're the high priest, guardian of the word.
Not a spider thing, though, so improvement.
What you've come for, the word, the name.
The name game.
You got that. You've always seen Jasmine's true appearance, haven't you?
Oh.
You gotta be kidding me.
I grew up in Kortoth. A hell dimension.
He's seen worse.
Full of all sorts of things you can't even imagine. See no appearance? Not that important to me.
What is important to you, Connor?
Well, that's nice, but it's not like she's got a great personality.
What about Cordelia?
And technically his daughter.
She eats people?
No.
To serve men.
People who eat people.
And not.
You don't think Cordy's...
I hope not. But we really have no way of knowing, do we?
Plant that seed.
You're gonna give me your name, or... Right. Hard way.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to mind that.
Excuse us a moment.
Of course, Jasmine.
Yeah, I'll beat you in a bit, don't worry.
Just know she's alive and well comatose. And under constant guard. Much as our guests downstairs are supposed to be.
Subtle, Jasmine.
The woman you've already lost. The boy is what
No.
you're fighting for. But you're going to fail. You're going to lose him, too.
Oh. Well, distracting him's not fair.
I read this was a
It's interesting, like, they're supposed to all be united now, and Connor's still part of this group. But he's still kind of the outcast at the minute.
Tracy Bellows, KTLA. Could I get you to say a few words? This is
A
such
few
a
words.
day.
You're just gonna have to ask Jasmine.
You.
Oh,
But it's never enough. Why do you bother?
Nancy never had kids.
yeah, it's still his son.
Boy shouldn't even exist. He was...
He's gonna dump him at the bottom of the ocean forever, and he's still, like, wanting to make sure he knew he loved Connor and forgave him.
First things first. We'll worry about that one.
This cage is getting good use this season, isn't it? Worth the money.
I think Jasmine may be dependent on Cordelia. She can't hurt her. Not without hurting herself.
Interesting.
But maybe Cordelia can hurt Jasmine.
It's a whole lot of maybes.
Let's wake her up.
Right?
And leave now, or my partner and I are gonna have to get rough. Please? Oh, right. Please.
Well, yeah. Seems about right. Oh, there it is. Alright.
Time for my close-up.
It is what you wanted, right?
No.
Why you came to me?
Because you know, that's what he's about. Him and the others. Finding reasons to fight. Like,
I mean, he's finding reasons to fulfill the prophecy thing. Teenagers.
I just want to rest. God, I want to rest.
Oh, I get that.
But I can't.
So you say you're not like them. That's exactly what Angel kind of would feel, I imagine.
not me!
Cordelia's such a great listener.
I know she's alive. Jasmine. My whole life's been built on them.
Oh boy.
I guess I thought this one was better than the others.
Oh. See, why couldn't they do that shit with him this entire season? That was Connor's voice.
Patient in the room.
That was great.
I'm sure they're at your press conference.
Yes. Thank you, Patience.
Her patience is wearing thin.
I come to you not as a leader or divinity, but as your partner in a venture to make this the best of all possible worlds. You don't have to do anything except love one another. Although, a temple would be nice. Hey.
Hello.
Kill him! All of you, kill him now!
Oh. Ah. Exposed. That's a cool image, like cutting the.
Never give up. Never surrender.
I knew that was gonna work.
Father, I need you. Help me, please.
See, that's kind of making me a bit sad, but. I mean, I do think she genuinely believes what she's doing is right. But it's not.
And look where free will has gotten you.
Hey, I didn't say we were smart. I said it's our right. It's what makes us human.
But you're not human.
Working on it. Where are you going?
Why do you hate me so much?
Let's run down the list, huh?
Yep.
Rain of fire, blotting out the sun, enslaving mankind, and yeah, oh yeah, hey, you eat people.
Like you never have.
Thousands of people are dead because of what you've done.
And how many will die because of
What
you?
you did to Cordelia and Connor.
Our fate has to be our own, or we're nothing.
Like me?
If nothing we do matters, then what matters is what we do. She took that away.
But maybe you could still help us make it better, even if you have lost your powers.
Not all of them.
Oh. Well.
Think the price was too high? You haven't begun to pay.
Oh. Well, now you're just giving them reasons to kill you. Ah. She takes after her dad. And jumping all over the place.
You really think a little electricity would destroy me?
Worth a shot.
Worth a shock. Huh.
Go to hell.
You first, baby.
Oh.
Always the same, Dad. I get a girl,
You gotta make her play for him.
I mean, she was Angel's first, buddy. Let's calm down. And she just kissed her granddad, right? It's a bit weird.
You still love me?
Yes.
Oh shit!
Connor!
Why does he run like that? God, this isn't even the finale, is it?
I think he's gonna do something. You know, he might.
End world peace?
Well, you already took care of that. Congratulations.
What? Okay. Okay, I bloody loved this episode. I thought it was fantastic. Man, sets up some really intriguing things as well for the next episode. It's just, I like how they kind of followed in the footsteps of Buffy season 4 in a sense, and had like the big bad defeated in the penultimate episode, and then what the hell is the finale going to be about? I imagine it's not going to be quite as such a case as Restless was for Buffy season 4, because they did kind of give you some hints as to what to expect in the next one, with Lila showing up at the end. So I'm guessing it's the classic Wolfram and Hart bringing back dead employees because they're still technically under contract thing, I suppose. They did it before with, was it Holland? Was that his name? You know, the bit with him in the elevator with Angel. I can't remember what season that was now. Is it the end of season 2, maybe season 3? It's all a blur. But, you know, they've done it before, so I assume that's what's happening again. I feel like, was Lila like wearing a scarf or something? I feel like there was something like covering up potentially like some scars from when Wesley cut her head off. So yeah, I suppose Wolfram and Hart has kind of been hugely on the back burner since basically all of them died, and then Lila died as well, so they did all die. But are they making a bit of a comeback? Maybe. Could be interesting to see exactly what they're going to do in the finale, but a very interesting way of teasing us for next time, and I'm very excited to finish off the season and see exactly why Lila's back. I don't care why Lila's back. What matters is that Lila's back, which is awesome because, you know, I feel like they did a dirty killing her off earlier in the season. And, you know, maybe it's not going to be like a permanent return or anything because she's still kind of undead or whatever, I'm assuming. But just to see her again is cool. So I'm very, very much in anticipation for the finale, knowing that Lila's probably going to be around and exactly, you know, why she's there. You know, how big of a role is Wolfram and Hart playing in this? Is it just Lila of her own accord? Because Wolfram and Hart is basically all but gone now, isn't it? Exactly what's going to happen there. Very intriguing way to end off the episode, which basically wrapped up the Jasmine arc for the most part. More so the Jasmine side of things, maybe not the after effects of what everyone's just gone through, particularly with Connor. I feel like there's still a lot more to deal with him. But yeah, where do I even start? I think the only real thing I felt was missing was, I feel like we needed to properly see the moment where Angel got the guy's head off and actually like won that fight. I felt it just, you know, just glossed over that. He just appeared in front of Jasmine and, you know, he killed the thing and everything. I felt like we need to see actually that happen for a bit more of a payoff. It's like, oh, okay, I guess he won. I mean, there was no doubt that he would win, but yeah, that felt a bit strange. I felt maybe that was just maybe the episode overran and they have to delete a big chunk of that or whatever. And I don't know, but that felt kind of strange that we didn't see that moment and like he actually got the answers he was looking for. But I love the visual of like the fact that the creature's mouth was sewn shut, very much like the Silent Brothers in Shadowhunters. Very similar kind of concept, and he like cuts those things and then he can kind of speak the real name, and it was like such a complicated, crazy name that, you know, we couldn't even really understand it. It was just like and then the spells are done. I thought it was a really cool visual. I liked that a lot. And just the power of the word. I like that we have this power that was this all-powerful being, seemingly unstoppable, you know, growing with more and more power all the time. And she's brought down so quickly and so easily almost by just a word. I think that's really interesting that they did that. You know, I don't think it even feels anticlimactic to me. It might have done if they'd executed differently, but I think they did a good job with it. Because I think the idea that, you know, anyone can be powerful as hell, but you say the right words, you know, everything comes toppling down. And we've seen like the dramatic effect words can have on these characters. You know, the prophecy about Angel, the Shanshu prophecy, just those words written down, you know, that's kind of been the driving force for Angel for like the past 3 seasons now. And I think he kind of alluded to that in this episode when Jasmine was like, "You're not human," and he's like, "Oh, I'm working on it." You know, it's still kind of his ultimate goal, I think. Whether or not he'll actually achieve that, I don't know. Maybe next season. I know next season's the last season, so. But they were also cancelled, and I don't think they expected to be cancelled per se. So I don't know how it's going to play out in season 5, but we're not there yet, so it's fine. And yeah, Wesley with the prophecy last season that caused him to steal Connor away. You know, all those fake words, the damage that did. So I like that they kind of showcased that yet again, with Jasmine's downfall being like technically she was her own downfall. Multiple occasions, she outright should have just had Connor kill Wesley and Fred and Gunn and Lorne instead of like, "Oh, bring them back to me." So I'm doing that good old cliche villain thing. Probably should have just killed them. Although it wouldn't really have made the difference because Angel still would have done the thing, but he would have had no friends there afterwards. But still, had all that going on. I just like how they showcased that that power and that no matter how powerful you may be, there's always going to be something there to bring you down. And it was technically herself. So yeah, I enjoyed that as a kind of a resolution to the arc with Jasmine. You know, she was just announcing herself to the world, and then Angel shows up, and yeah, the way they kind of had a go between, I guess, once, you know, her powers faded, between what she actually looked like and Gina Torres. It was kind of a bit of a mishmash, which I thought was an interesting visual. I liked that, and a few shots of like her real unfiltered form as well. A bit of like tentacle stuff going on when she was eating the people. We still got another sense of that. And yeah, I feel like a lot of it is also down to Gina Torres and her performance. But I think to an extent the writing as well. I almost felt sorry for Jasmine when it all went wrong for her. She was just like, you know, that instinct to just call for your parent. Like, you know, "Daddy, come and help me." That felt tragically childlike in that moment for her to be like that. And she's like, "Oh, but you still love me, right? You know, you're still on my side." You know, craving that love and acceptance, because suddenly she'd lost all of that, and all her power and influence was gone. And the fact that it is interesting, you know, because I think, you know, a lot of people do say, and I agree, that the best villains are the ones who really think they're right and genuinely think they're doing good. And I liked that she was saying that to Angel. She's like, of all the powers that be, I'm the only one who actually genuinely cares about you people, and I genuinely want to make it better. You know, the powers that be, you know, they're just going to stay the powers, and they're going to be unchanged and uninfluenced by anything. They don't care because nothing's going to happen to them, so they can just let things play out the way they want to, just move the chess pieces around. But she genuinely cared about what, you know, these people would do and if they would destroy themselves or not. But taking away their free will and their choice is, you know, just morally, ethically wrong. But she didn't quite understand that. She's like, well, you know, she didn't understand that at least choosing to live in a not so ideal world, and choosing to sometimes be unhappy and sometimes just embrace that pain and accept that that's a part of life and a part of being human, that can sometimes be the better option than just being blind to everything and not actually being your own person and having your own life, having those own mistakes and choices that you can make, instead of just being this like big hive mind of Jasmine's. And you know, all these things that we built up with governments and religion, stuff like that, all these things that people can get passionate about and have their own interest in. You know, if Jasmine's not interested in that, bye. You know, you all need to agree to the same thing. Like, if your favourite TV show was Friends and Jasmine didn't like Friends, well, sorry about it, you're never watching Friends again. You know, you're not going to have any choice in the matter. If I don't know, think of any other TV show in the world, Liam, that's not like Buffy and Angel, because that's too meta. You know, if you like Avatar: The Last Airbender, if you know, if she didn't like that, bye. And if her favourite show was, I'm trying to think of something that no one likes. A show that no one likes, then you're just going to be stuck watching that for the rest of your life. And you have no say in it. And also kind of be aware that that's an awful, awful existence, but you're forced to not care about it. I just think that's kind of torturous, and Jasmine didn't quite understand that. And it wasn't like, it was all like, oh, I just want to make everything better and everything, because she was also going like, well, you know, a big palace or temple shrine to me would be lovely. So she still had that like, oh, I enjoyed being the worship part, and that's pretty damn good as well. But I liked that they, you know, that plea that Jasmine was kind of making to Angel, telling him how wrong he was to kind of undo all her powers and her influence. So I thought that was a really interesting thing to present Jasmine with in terms of a debate. But then it kind of just turned into, well, I'm going to kill everyone now, so now you have to kill me. You know, that wasn't the smartest move if she wanted to live. But I do love that Connor was the one to do her in the end. And he kind of recognised that he always knew she was kind of false, really. But, yeah, he had to do what he had to do at the end of the day, which is kind of what they've been talking about for the past few episodes. And Connor's going to have to live with that now. He kind of killed his own daughter in a very twisted way. So that's not going to be easy for poor Connor to deal with. But yeah, I guess that's the end of the Jasmine stuff. But I liked how it was all kind of resolved. I thought it was very clever. I liked the arguments that Jasmine was presenting, and just so blinded by how right she thought she was. She doesn't really accept that people still need to make their own choices, even if they're the wrong ones. So I liked that idea, and then getting to showcase a bit of, you know, strength and stuff, her chucking the car, having a bit of a fight with Angel near the end. And just how it kind of reduced her to this child just calling out for her dad to help her. And, you know, the last thing she kind of said really was about her father's love. And, like, she was making sure that her dad was still on her side, which is really actually very sad. And again, I think maybe that's just down to Gina's performance that made me really kind of feel for Jasmine in that moment. Because she was this all-powerful being. She had conquered other planets and stuff. She could have just stayed there and been, you know, ruled over a different race, even if it was, you know, not her ideal pick, an inferior planet or whatever. But she gave all that up to, you know, become a mortal human form, and now that's all been taken away from her. So yeah, very tragic story, really. And yeah, all these elaborate plans and schemes that she had with the Beast. The Beast feels like so long ago. It feels like the Beast was a completely different season, for better or worse. I don't know if that's bodes well for season 4 or not. And then the whole possessing Cordelia thing and the Connor thing and all that has just come crashing down because of her own name. Like, her very existence caused it to cease, which is quite the story, I suppose. Quite the ironic collapse. So yeah, I really enjoyed the Jasmine stuff, actually. I mean, when Gina Torres showed up, I enjoyed the Jasmine stuff, like butchering Cordelia's character. That kind of Jasmine stuff wasn't as big on, admittedly. But I've loved Gina in the show. I thought she did a great job. And that's one of the reasons I'm kind of sad that it's over for Jasmine. But I enjoyed how they kind of really twisted it around on, you know, her end to make it more of a tragedy. And she just kind of became an innocent child, like her dad basically is. So yeah, oh, that's quite something. But what happens next now that Jasmine's gone? What is the finale going to be about? Don't know. Lila seems to be involved with it, and I'm excited. No predictions outside of that, but hype. And yeah, that was all good and very well. And then we had like Wesley, Gunn, Fred, etc. They've just spent most of the episode just in a cage, really. But it was cool to see them fighting at the start, kind of putting up a decent fight. trying to get Connor on side, slightly manipulating things and putting the seed in his, the seed of doubt in his head about Cordelia. It makes sense that they would play into that because if you know anything about Connor, it's kind of how he feels about Cordelia. So it's good that they could use that to their advantage. And the fact that they just kept going on with Gunn kicking that cage, I was like, it's going to work eventually, because otherwise, if it didn't work, it just felt like a joke that was going on for too long. And I was like, but when it gave in, he was like, never give up. I liked that. I thought it was quite funny. So they weren't like front and center of the episode really, because it was all about Angels being the one to stop Jasmine, and more so the focus was on Connor as well, which I think was needed and warranted. But they still had a few cool moments as like a little group, and we'll see what happens with them next. So yeah, they had a decent amount, and I enjoyed how they kind of, it's twisted again. It's kind of manipulating Connor all over again, but it was for the greater good, I guess. Talking about that debate again, of how you handle different situations, and free will versus being enslaved, and the consequences of your actions, weighing up choices like Jasmine, like, oh, I killed thousands to save billions, but that's still kind of a pretty damn high price, and is manipulating Connor just that bit even further to maybe rescue Cordelia and stop Jasmine. Is that kind of worth it in the end as well? Just weighing up the morally grey of it all. So, it was good to show that through those guys. Angel on his little journey through this other dimension. I'm glad they didn't show too much of the exterior by the end. It didn't look good. The green screen and everything, the animation, not ideal, but again, this episode is 20 years old, so maybe it looked good for the time, maybe it didn't. I couldn't judge. But I think they've been better effects in the show, so I don't think it looked particularly great for the time either. But they're getting near the end of the season. Budget was probably running out, so they just did the best they could. So it made sense that a lot of the scenes on that place were mainly like inside a classic temple-y church place. Kind of a nice parallel, I guess, to where Connor was with Cordelia for this episode. So yeah, I enjoyed Angel meeting the High Priest and the Keeper, trying to find the name, having a bit of a battle with them. What they were talking about with, Angel was always going to fight for Connor as well. It all comes down to his son. And even if Connor will never truly love him because of the start he had in life and the life he continues to lead and everything, how events have been manipulated, Angel doesn't care because it's still his son. And it's like the end of last season when Connor and Justine were lowering him into the ocean. And the last things he wanted to do was make sure that Connor knew he forgave him and he still loved him. So yeah, that was cool to kind of show that Angel, I guess, believes Cordelia's lost to him, and I hope that's not the case. But he will still fight for Connor and, in a way, fight for himself because he was still working on being human again. So it's nice that he feels like he still has something to fight for versus Connor potentially doesn't have anything left to fight for now. Just kind of how they've torn Connor down. It's actually very sad. And I actually think Connor was probably my favourite thing about this episode. Unbelievably. Can you believe it after all this time? It reminded me, I think, of the potential that he had at the end of last season. I feel like the first full episode that Connor was back last season, I think it was episode 20 of last season. I remember really liking what they were doing with Connor then. I thought it was a really fun episode and they were doing some intriguing stuff with him. Then this season happened and they just made him, took him down all the boring routes in terms of his characterization with his dad. Nothing we haven't already seen before. I hate you, Dad, you ruined my life. And then just everything with Cordelia was just, I'm not doing any favours. Manipulated by her, manipulated by Jasmine and Jasmine's thrall, but also kind of not really manipulated by like Wesley and Fred and that group to help Cordelia out. So yeah, this episode was, they treated Connor the way and gave him the material that they always should have given him. And if they had given him this material more, I think he would have been easily one of the most interesting characters in the show. Because this is what I've wanted them to explore for so long. So why are they doing it in the penultimate episode? It's like they've had plenty of chances to just have kind of sit down and talk about this stuff. Everything with the Beast being like, oh, you know, is it my fault that the Beast's here? Am I connected to him somehow? Is that all because of me? That would have been a great time for him to sit down and kind of say everything he was saying in this episode. Maybe it's because Cordelia was around and he felt he could only say it to her when she was unconscious. But he'd had scenes with Cordelia earlier this season when they could have explored this a bit more. And I think the idea that no matter what, no matter how hard he tries, no matter where he is, Connor just can't fit in anywhere. Even when he's apparently part of Jasmine's like hive mind thing, he's actually still kind of the outcast there because he's worrying about Cordelia. He's kind of questioning Jasmine's orders. He actually has seen her for who she really is all this time and is aware that she's false and fake. But he'd rather believe in that lie than any other lie that he might fit in somewhere else. That is such an interesting character thing, such a cool idea. I love that he saw through Jasmine right from the start, but it's still kind of his daughter, so he needs to have that kind of affection for her, and he wants to believe that things can be better, or at least for him it's the lesser of two evils, and that's so sad and so tragic. So why are they only just exploring it now? Yeah, I think, you know, some people think it works fine that Connor doesn't really have his own voice, which is fair enough. If it works for you, it works for you. And to an extent, I think it does. But I think this is a much more interesting thing to do with him. And hopefully maybe they explore that next season with him instead, now they've started it. But my God, like, that's good shit. That's good stuff. That whole scene when he's talking to Cordelia in the church is so good. Easily my favourite Connor scene ever. Just thinking about the lies. And, you know, we've seen, like, Angel, when he was first introduced on Buffy, he was kind of a bit of an outsider. He kind of found a bit of a group there with them. He found that some friendships were formed there. Kind of found a bit of a place. But then that kind of fell apart. He went to LA, found a new family, found a new place in the world, has a new purpose, something to fight for, a family, friends around him. He settled in somewhere. Cordelia found a new life for herself in LA and settled in. Wesley was a bit, you know, a rogue demon hunter, kind of going all over the place, a bit hapless. He found a place to belong. Lorne, you know, he's kind of spent a lot of time in his club for the most part, and now he's kind of been integrated into the group and found some friendships there. Fred was in Pylea for 5 years, and when she came back, she was kind of a bit of an outcast and kept herself to herself just in a room. Then she quickly found a place for herself and realised she belonged with this group, and then she had relationships from there. Everyone's kind of found that place to fit in and found where they belong. Connor never has, and I think that's such an interesting idea, and I think it's such an interesting character thing to do. And it's kind of like, it's not the satisfying, he's finally found his place. It's like a complete character arc like that. It's purposefully unsatisfying. But I think what they did instead for most of the season with the Cordelia and Connor thing, I think is unsatisfying and frustrating, which doesn't make it as enjoyable to watch. Whereas this, I could have had this for a lot longer. Maybe this still isn't enough for an entire season's worth of content for Connor, but I think it would have been much, much, much more interesting. And I love it. And I'm just so sad that they only really gave Connor a scene like that now. And it also speaks volumes that he could only say all that kind of stuff and what he's really feeling when he's technically alone, because Cordelia's just comatose. It's so sad that his whole life's been pain, and he wasn't like repulsed by Jasmine's true appearance or anything, because he's seen so much worse in the Hell Dimension where he was raised. And yeah, he keeps calling Angel the monster. Okay. But, you know, that's so interesting and so compelling. And they just never seem to have lent into that side of the character as much as I think they should have done. Instead, they just made him the classic bratty teenager who hates his parents. I guess that can tie into, I don't belong anywhere. But you can get along with your dad and still not belong with his friends. You know, I'm not going to hang around with my dad's friends. I don't belong in that group. I still get on with my dad. So yeah, I loved what they did with Connor in this one. All the revelations about him and what he actually could see through all along. That's why like the blood thing didn't really work, because he already could see through all that. And then he ultimately knew what he had to do and realised, you know, what Jasmine was trying to do just wasn't working, and he had to kill her, and it's kind of killing his own daughter. Now he's going to have to live with that as a huge burden, and he's still so bloody young. On top of that, he's kind of in love with Cordelia, but it wasn't ever really Cordelia, it was sort of his daughter, and that's kind of strange. So yeah, I just think that's such an interesting thing that they've done with him, and it's kind of annoying that there's only one episode left of the season for them to maybe explore that, and they could easily just like, oh, wrap it up and everything's fine in that episode, then season 5's something completely different with him. But I hope they kind of bleed it into season 5. Because that's it's just frustrating. But you know, if Connor works for you as they've done him and as they've chosen to more so focus on him, that's absolutely fine. Because I don't hate Connor by any means. He can be bloody annoying and frustrating, but a lot of that has come from the fact that he's been manipulated and he hasn't been given his own voice for a lot of this season, and that leads into like the whole free will theme that this season has going for it. But manipulated by Jasmine, okay, and Cordelia. I was like, then under Jasmine's thrall, apparently. Even like just revealing like he could see Jasmine's true form a couple of episodes back, but he's just okay with it. That still would have been more of an interesting thing than just being under the impression that he was completely under her spell. And we had Jasmine kind of speaking through him on a few occasions in the last episode, still not having his own voice. And when they've finally given him his own voice in that scene in the church, he's like 1,000 times more compelling and interesting than I think he's ever been. And we may never get that again, because he can't really open up to people. But that's one of my favourite kind of character, I don't even know how to describe it, but my favourite potential character arc and idea behind a character, potentially in the entire Buffyverse, and they've only really let it shine in one scene because Connor just hasn't had his own voice. I think that's much more preferable and more interesting than a season of him not having his own voice, whether or not it worked for you or not. I still would have chosen the other option. It's just so bloody sad, his whole life. And it is just his choice is a choice of lies, apparently. And he's never been able to quite fit in anywhere. He's had a rough bloody life. So yeah, I loved what they did with Connor in this episode. I thought it was really, really interesting and compelling, and I hope that they don't just throw it away now. I hope they actually do explore it in the finale, and hopefully next season as well. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the finale, you know. I could also see them writing him out. He could be like, you know what, this is too much for me, I'm going to travel, go somewhere else, leave LA, have my own adventures, see ya. I could see that happening as well, which would also be a shame, because this is interesting now. They've actually made him interesting to me, and I actually want to spend more time with him. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But for this one episode, at least, I thought they made Connor one of the most interesting characters in the show. And hopefully they can continue with that and stick the landing on it, and really give the actor, give Vincent, and give the character what he deserves and the potential that he deserves, because holy shit, if you can do this stuff with him, amazing. You know, why couldn't he have talked about all this stuff with the vision of Darla and everything, just revealed that a bit earlier? But it is what it is, it can't be changed. But yeah, adored Connor in this episode, loved what they did with him, hopefully they continue with it. And yeah, I just had an absolute ball with this episode. I thought it was so much fun. Because the only thing that really bothered me was I wanted to actually see Angel win that fight and get the head off and everything, but he just turned up with it, which is still fine. But it would have been nice to see that. Everything else I really, really liked. So yeah, absolute riot. Liked the kind of ending to Jasmine, the tragedy behind it, everything with that. I've already mentioned the Connor stuff's great. Cordelia, my God, please actually do something with her in the next one. Otherwise, I will be so beyond pissed. Because she's just been asleep for like 3 episodes now. Like, come on, use your bloody talented actress, please, dear God. Because she wasn't ultimately the one who kind of fought back against Jasmine and won the day, but second best option after Cordelia being the one to kind of help stop Jasmine is Connor. So they did do that. Anyway, really fantastic episode. Genuinely one of my favourites of the season, mostly down to, I think anyway, a nice resolution to the Jasmine arc and everything with Connor. I adored. So yeah, fantastic episode. Can't wait to see how they're going to wrap up the season next. But that will be obviously in the next cycle. Things are going to be a bit different in the next cycle. Actually, this was the last Buffyverse cycle of like 3 Buffyverse reactions, because it is going down to 2 once I get to Angel season 5. And what's going to be happening next is the next cycle would normally be Angel 422, so in the finale, and then Buffy episode 20 and 21. But we're going to be doing Angel finale, Buffy episode 20, and then depending on exactly when I get those episodes up and stuff, we're going to be maybe waiting a little bit, or maybe not even waiting a day, depending on how the days add up, because it's going to be a Monday to Friday thing. It's going to be my Buffy finale week, which is episodes 21 and 22, bookending that week, and a few extra special reactions in between. But I'll probably go into that a bit more again in those reactions. But for now, yeah, it's the end of one cycle, is it? Yeah. This was 19, 20, and 21. Yeah, so this is the end of the current cycle. My next Buffyverse reaction will be to the Angel finale. Very excited for that. And yeah, until then, thanks for watching.